The Discovery. The Odysseus drifted silently through the debris field of what once had been a thriving civilization. Its running lights dimmed to avoid detection. The exploration vessel moved with deliberate caution between twisted fragments of ancient megastructures. Captain Maya Rhodes stood on the bridge, her weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the navigation console. "Still nothing on the scanners, Captain," reported Lieutenant Darius Wells, his eyes never leaving the sensor array. "Terran fleet patrols aren't scheduled for this sector for another 3 days, but we're deep in restricted space." Maya nodded, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight braid. "Keep us running silent. The Arcturus Accords specifically forbid salvage operations here, but what the Council doesn't know won't hurt them." For decades, the Terran Council had declared this sector off-limits, citing spatial anomalies and navigational hazards. But Maya had spent 15 years in fleet intelligence before going independent. She knew the real reason. Fear. Fear of what had destroyed the civilization that once dominated this region of space. Fear of technologies beyond human comprehension. "Captain, I'm detecting an energy signature," called out Eliza Kwan, the ship's science officer. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface. "It's pulsing, almost like it's responding to our presence." Maya moved to Eliza's station, studying the readings. Location. Embedded in that massive structure at bearing 047. "It's faint but consistent." "That's impossible," said Chief Engineer Matteo Torres, joining them. "Nothing could still be active after so many millennia." Maya's eyes narrowed. "The precursors weren't like any civilization we've encountered. Bring us in closer, but maintain stealth protocols." As the Odysseus approached the derelict structure, the bridge crew fell silent. The massive construction dwarfed their vessel, a cathedral of alien geometry that defied conventional understanding. Parts of it seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. "I'm getting more detailed readings now," Eliza reported, her voice hushed with awe. "It appears to be some kind of shipyard or manufacturing facility. And that energy signature, it's coming from what seems to be a partially completed vessel." The main view screen shifted, revealing an object that immediately sent a chill down Maya's spine. Half buried in the remains of the facility was a ship unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Its lines were both organic and geometric, with an iridescent hull that seemed to absorb and redirect light in unsettling ways. "That's not just a ship," Matteo whispered. "Look at those configurations. That's a warship." Maya leaned forward. "Can we get closer without triggering any defensive systems?" "I think so," Darius replied. "Whatever automated systems might have once protected this place, they've been dormant for countless centuries." For the next 6 hours, the crew of the Odysseus mapped and analyzed the alien facility and its unfinished prize. They discovered data repositories that their systems struggled to decrypt and technology that defied their understanding of physics. "Based on what we've been able to translate," Eliza explained during their briefing, "this was an experimental weapons platform designed to combat something called the Void Harbingers. The precursors abandoned it when they realized the power source was inherently unstable." "Unstable how?" Maya asked. "It draws energy directly from subspace," Matteo said, looking up from his analysis. "Theoretically, such a power source could provide nearly unlimited energy, but it could also tear a hole in reality if improperly contained." Maya considered this information carefully. For 3 centuries, humanity had expanded through the stars, establishing colonies and forming alliances with other spacefaring species. But 6 months ago, long-range probes had detected something alarming. A massive fleet of unknown origin moving methodically toward human space, destroying everything in its path. The Terran Council had dismissed her warnings, citing insufficient evidence. When she persisted, they'd relieved her of command, citing stress-induced paranoia. That's when she'd gone rogue, gathering a crew of the like-minded and the desperate to find something, anything, that might help humanity against the coming storm. "Could we adapt this technology?" she asked Matteo. "Not the full ship, but components. Weapons, The drive system. Matteo rubbed his beard thoughtfully. With what we've learned here, maybe. It would be dangerous, experimental, and definitely illegal under the Arcturus Accords. The Accords won't matter if that fleet reaches our colonies, Maya replied. Darius, how long before the nearest outpost would be in their path? At their current velocity, the Vega 9 mining colony would be reached in approximately 3 months. Maya looked around at her crew. They were outcasts, disgraced officers, and civilian specialists who'd staked everything on her judgment. I need to be clear about what I'm proposing. We salvage what we can from this facility, bring it aboard, and attempt to integrate it with our systems. It violates every regulation about handling unknown technology, and it could very well kill us all. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Eliza said quietly, if that fleet is what we think it is, we're already dead. We might as well die trying. The decision made, they began the dangerous work of extracting key components from the precursor vessel. Matteo led the engineering team in cutting away sections of the alien power core, while Eliza directed the download of technical data into isolated systems. For 3 days, they worked tirelessly, pushing themselves and their equipment to the limit. On the 4th day, disaster struck. Captain, Darius shouted from his station. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Configuration unknown. Maya raced to the bridge. Show me. The view screen flickered to life, displaying a formation of ships that sent ice through her veins. Black, angular vessels with pulsing violet energy at their cores decelerated into the debris field. They moved with unnatural precision, like predators sensing prey. Are they the same as the fleet we detected? She asked. Energy signatures match, Eliza confirmed, her face pale. But these are smaller, scout vessels, perhaps. The advance guard. They've detected us, Darius reported grimly. 3 vessels altering course to intercept. Maya made a split-second decision. Matteo, is the last extraction team back aboard? Just docked, Captain. Full power to engines. Get us out of here. Maximum velocity. The Odysseus lurched as its drives engaged, accelerating away from the alien facility. But the pursuing vessels were faster, gaining steadily. They're scanning us, Eliza reported, specifically targeting the cargo holds with the precursor tech. They know what we took, Maya realized. They don't want us to have it. She turned to her weapons officer. Target their propulsion systems. We just need to slow them down enough to make the jump to hyperspace. The Odysseus shuddered as it fired its conventional weapons, briefly slowing their pursuers. But the alien vessels regrouped quickly, their own weapons charging. Captain, I've never seen energy readings like this, Darius warned. If they hit us directly. We won't be here, Maya interrupted. Hyperspace jump. Now. The stars stretched into streaks as the Odysseus tore into hyperspace, narrowly avoiding the violet energy beams that lashed out behind them. In the safety of faster-than-light travel, Maya allowed herself a moment to breathe. Damage report. Minor hull breaches on decks 3 and 4, Matteo reported. Being contained. But Captain, those vessels tracked us through a debris field and nearly matched our acceleration curve. They're far more advanced than we anticipated. Maya nodded grimly. And those were just scouts. Set course for the Lambda outpost. It's remote enough that we might be able to work without attracting attention. From the Terran fleet or from those things? Eliza asked. Both, Maya replied. Because what we're about to attempt has never been done before. We're going to integrate precursor technology with our ship and create a weapon that shouldn't exist, but has to, if humanity is going to survive. As the Odysseus hurtled through hyperspace, carrying its forbidden cargo and hunted crew, Maya stared at the swirling dimensional currents visible through the viewports. Somewhere out there, the main fleet of the entities they'd encountered, the Voidborn, as she'd come to think of them, was approaching human space, undetected and unstoppable by conventional means. Unless she and her crew could create the impossible, a hybrid vessel powered by technology that even its creators had feared, a ship that should be a myth, yet might be humanity's only hope. The confrontation. Lambda Outpost hung in the shadow of a rogue planetoid, its decrepit structures a testament to humanity's haphazard expansion into the cosmos. Once a bustling mining facility, it had been abandoned when the local resources were depleted, leaving behind habitation modules and industrial equipment, perfect for Maya's clandestine operation. For 2 months, the crew of the Odysseus worked relentlessly, transforming their exploration vessel into something unprecedented. Under Matteo's guidance, they integrated the salvaged precursor technologies with human systems, creating a hybrid that pushed the boundaries of known physics. The power core is stable. For now, Matteo reported during one of their daily briefings. His eyes were sunken from lack of sleep, his hands permanently stained with hydraulic fluid and more exotic substances. We've managed to modify the containment field to prevent subspace bleed-through, but I can't guarantee it will hold under combat conditions. Maya nodded, examining the holographic representation of their modified ship. The Odysseus, now rechristened the Chimera, retained its original hull configuration, but subtle changes marked it as something different. Iridescent patterns flowed beneath the surface plating, and the once conventional drive nacelles now pulsed with a blue-violet light that seemed to bend the space around them. "What about the weapons systems?" she asked. Elisa stepped forward. "We've successfully adapted 2 of the precursor weapon designs. The first is a focused subspace disruptor. It doesn't destroy matter so much as temporarily phase it out of our reality. The second is more conventional, a high-energy particle beam, but powered by the subspace tap. And our defenses. That's where we've made the most progress," Matteo said with a hint of pride. The precursors developed a form of reactive shielding that adapts to incoming energy signatures. Theoretically, it should become more effective the longer we're in combat. Maya surveyed her exhausted crew. "You've all accomplished the impossible, but we need to be clear-eyed about what comes next. Our long-range sensors confirm the Voidborn fleet has accelerated. They'll reach the Vega 9 colony in just 2 weeks. The Terran fleet is mobilizing," Darius added, "but they're still treating this as an unknown contact scenario, rather than the existential threat it represents. Their defensive line won't be sufficient. Then we intercept them before they reach Vega 9, Maya decided. "Based on their current trajectory, we can position ourselves here." She indicated a point in empty space on the tactical display, and engage them before they detect the colony. "Captain," Elisa said hesitantly, "even with the modifications, we're one ship against a fleet. One ship with technology they never expected humans to possess," Maya countered. "And we have one more advantage. I've sent encrypted messages to former colleagues who trusted my original warnings. Some have agreed to meet us at the intercept point with whatever vessels they could commandeer." "How many?" Matteo asked. 7 ships, mostly outdated patrol vessels and retrofitted freighters. Not much by conventional standards, but they'll follow our lead and deploy according to our tactics. The next 12 days were spent finalizing preparations and conducting space trials of their modified systems. The Chimera performed beyond expectations, its subspace drive allowing it to cross vast distances with minimal energy expenditure. The weapons, when tested against asteroids, demonstrated destructive capability that both awed and terrified the crew. On the day of the intercept, Maya stood on the bridge of the Chimera, now joined by the small fleet of vessels she'd managed to assemble. On the main view screen, the commanders of each ship awaited her orders, a collection of maverick captains, disgraced officers, and independent operators who'd believed her when the Council wouldn't. "The Voidborn fleet will arrive in this sector within the hour," she told them. "Our objective is to prevent them from reaching Vega 9 at all costs. The Chimera will engage their command vessels directly. The rest of you will target their support craft and create a diversion that allows us to penetrate their formation." "What exactly are we facing, Maya?" asked Captain Julian Reeves of the patrol vessel Defiant. Maya transferred the sensor data. Our best analysis suggests a hierarchical structure, 3 primary vessels coordinating approximately 40 lesser craft. The primary vessels appear to house their command and control functions. Take out the head, and the body dies, Julian mused. That's the theory, Maya agreed. But make no mistake, even their support craft outmatch our conventional vessels. Your primary goal is survival while creating maximum disruption. As Maya finished briefing her makeshift fleet, Darius called out from his station. Hyperspace ruptures detected. Multiple signatures. Captain, they're arriving now. The view screen shifted to show space itself tearing open as the Voidborn fleet emerged from hyperspace. The sight stole the breath from everyone on the bridge. The 3 command ships were massive, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it, creating the impression of moving voids in the fabric of reality. Surrounding them were the smaller vessels they'd encountered at the precursor facility, moving in precise, unnatural patterns. All vessels, commence attack pattern Theta, Maya ordered. Chimera moving to engage primary targets. The human fleet accelerated forward, tiny against the overwhelming force they faced. The Voidborn vessels seemed momentarily confused by the audacity of the attack, allowing the humans to close distance before responding with devastating energy weapons that tore through space. Shields holding at 87%, reported the defensive systems officer as the Chimera absorbed a direct hit. The adaptive properties are working. They're already reconfiguring to match the enemy weapon frequency. Return fire, Maya commanded. Target the lead vessel's propulsion systems. The Chimera's main weapons discharge, sending a beam of concentrated subspace disruption toward the largest Voidborn ship. Where it struck, the alien vessel's hull seemed to flicker and partially vanish, exposing internal structures to the vacuum of space. Around them, the battle unfolded with brutal intensity. 2 human ships were immediately destroyed, their conventional shields useless against the Voidborn weapons. But the remaining vessels executed Maya's diversionary tactics with precision, drawing fire and creating openings for the Chimera to exploit. Their command ships are altering formation, Darius reported. They're trying to isolate us. Good, Maya replied grimly. It means we have their attention. Mateo, divert additional power to the subspace tap. Prepare for maximum weapons discharge. The engineer's voice came through strained. Captain, that will destabilize the containment field. We'd have minutes at most before critical failure. Then we make those minutes count. All hands, prepare for close-range engagement. The Chimera surged forward, its modified drives carrying it directly toward the heart of the enemy formation. The Voidborn vessels concentrated their fire, but the adaptive shielding held, learning and evolving with each impact. We're within optimal range, Eliza announced. Target all 3 command ships simultaneously, Maya ordered. Full power to the subspace disruptors. The weapons officer executed the command, and the Chimera shuddered as it channeled unprecedented energy through its integrated precursor systems. Beams of reality warping force lashed out, connecting with each of the 3 Voidborn command vessels. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a delayed reaction, portions of each target began to phase in and out of existence, their structures becoming transparent before collapsing inward. Atmosphere and debris vented silently into space as the massive ships began to break apart. Direct hits on all targets, Eliza confirmed, her voice tight with controlled excitement. Their command and control functions are failing. The support vessels are losing coordination. But victory came at a price. Warning alarms blared throughout the Chimera as its power core fluctuated wildly. Containment field failing. Mateo shouted over the noise. The subspace tap is creating micro-ruptures in the fabric of space-time. We have maybe 5 minutes before catastrophic failure. Maya quickly assessed their options. Order all surviving vessels to maximum distance. Darius plot a course directly into the heart of the remaining enemy formation. Her crew stared at her in shock. You heard me, she said firmly. When the containment field fails completely, It will create a subspace implosion. If we position ourselves correctly, we can take most of their remaining fleet with us. Captain, Eliza began. There must be another. There isn't. Maya cut her off. And you all knew this might be a one-way mission when you signed on. She opened a channel to the other human vessels. All ships, this is Captain Rhodes. The Chimera's power core is going critical. We're going to use that to our advantage, but you need to withdraw immediately. Complete the mission. Warn Earth. Tell them what we've learned about the Voidborn and the precursor technology. Without waiting for acknowledgement, she closed the channel and turned to her helm officer. Take us in. The Chimera accelerated toward the disorganized Voidborn vessels, which were now firing erratically without the guidance of their command ships. The hybrid vessel's shields absorbed the attacks as it plunged deeper into the enemy formation. Core containment at 12%, Matteo reported grimly. 2 minutes at most. Maya stood from her captain's chair. It's been an honor serving with all of you. What we've done here today will not be forgotten. Humanity will survive because we stood when others wouldn't. As the Chimera reached the center of the Voidborn formation, Maya took one last look at her brave crew, each continuing to perform their duties even in the face of certain death. Then she turned her gaze to the view screen, watching as the enemy vessels surrounded them, unaware of the catastrophe about to unfold. In the final seconds, as the containment field collapsed completely, Maya thought she saw something unexpected in the sensor readings, a pattern in the Voidborn ship movements, a familiarity that tugged at her mind. But before she could process the realization, the subspace core breached. Space itself seemed to fold inward around the Chimera, creating a rapidly expanding sphere of distorted reality. The Voidborn vessels caught within were torn apart, their advanced technology useless against the fundamental unraveling of space-time. The implosion grew, peaked, and then collapsed back in on itself, leaving nothing but scattered debris where a fleet had once been. From a safe distance, the surviving human vessels witnessed the sacrifice of the Chimera and its crew. Captain Julian Reeves of the Defiant, now the senior officer of the remaining fleet, opened a channel to all ships. Set course for Earth, he ordered, his voice thick with emotion. We carry with us the knowledge bought with the lives of Captain Rhodes and her crew, and the responsibility to ensure it wasn't in vain. As the small fleet turned toward home, carrying evidence of both a terrible threat and a powerful new technology, humanity stood at the threshold of a new era. The legends of the precursors were no longer ancient history, but a present reality, their forgotten weapons now part of humanity's arsenal in a war they never expected to fight. And somewhere in the vast archives of the Terran fleet, the mission logs of the Odysseus, once dismissed as the paranoid ravings of a disgraced captain, would be re-examined with new understanding. The ship that should have been a myth had become humanity's salvation, proving once again that the indomitable human spirit could face any challenge, no matter how overwhelming the odds. In the darkness between stars, the remaining Voidborn forces regrouped, their purpose momentarily thwarted but their determination undiminished. The conflict had only just begun, but for the first time, humanity had a fighting chance. Thanks to Maya Rhodes and the crew of a ship that shouldn't exist, yet fought anyway.